Hey, welcome to Jaymike'S Movie Nights. It's me, I'm J Mike, and tonight we're doing the top 10, starting from 10 to 1, of my favorite buddy movies. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Number 10, Dumb and Dumber. Oh man, when I first saw it, I could not. It was too dumb. It was way too dumb. I didn't laugh, not one bit. I couldn't do it. But the second time, I don't know if it was just because I got my comedy, my sense of humor, like widened a little bit. I don't know what it was. Maybe I saw another Jim Carrey movie in between. But I fell in love with Dumb and Dumber the second time I watched it. Came out in 1994. It stars Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. The plot is a pretty simple plot. I'm not even going to joke about it. They kept it simple so they can keep the jokes coming and coming and coming. Basically, Jim Carrey's character, he is trying to give a briefcase back to this woman that for some strange reason he falls in love with as soon as he sees her. It's weird. So they take a cross-country trip to Colorado to give her briefcase back. And you know, with road trip movies, all kinds of things happen. It's number 10 on my list. I find it had to make the top 10. I find it super funny. It's some of Jim Carrey's best. I mean, it's a highly quotable movie. I really enjoy Dumb and Dumber. Number 9. That's right, Bad Boys came out in 1995, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Yo, I saw this in the theater. I was 18. I had just turned 18. Telling my age a little bit, but I just turned 18. It's rated R. Me and my friends went to go see it on a Saturday. Yeah, we went to go see it on a Saturday night, and then Sunday we went to go see it again. That's how much we laughed and we loved this movie. At the time, this was Will Smith's second movie, so he wasn't quite the star. Martin, coming off of his TV show, was the bigger star at the time. Will was just, oh, that's the Fresh Prince. And so with this movie, with this movie, he came out. I mean, it was the first time I heard him like curse. I was like, holy smokes. So I really like this movie. Basic plot, well, kind of basic plot. Drug dealers break into the precinct where Martin Lawrence and Will Smith work. They break in, steal some drugs from a bus like a year or two ago, and they plan to sell it to this big drug dealer. When that happens, Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett are on the case. They're two narcotics cops, so they're on the case down in Miami, and super funny. You get them two together, they have perfect chemistry. Number 8. Talladega Nights. Whoo, Talladega Nights, boy! I tell you, I'm for real when I tell you this. It took me. I went to the movies with my sister and my nieces to go see it. I didn't laugh. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't laugh. I'm one of those people that was like, "Yo, this is not even funny. This is not even a funny movie whatsoever." I waited till it came out on DVD. I watched it again, and I literally could not catch my breath. It was funny. Super quotable. I mean, this is one of Will Ferrell's best movies. Came out in 2006. Stars Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly. The plot is basically two race car drivers are at the top of their game, and in comes this Formula One driver that kind of threatens their throne. He's winning all these races. He's faster. He's a better driver, and it's kind of hard when you've been winning all the time to have to deal with that. So you get John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell together, instant comedy. I tell you what. Well, they had some missteps, but me personally, when them two together, funny stuff happens. But that's Talladega Nights, came out in 2006. Number 7, Pineapple Express. That's right, Pineapple Express. Now, here's the thing. I'm a real big fan of Seth Rogen and James Franco when they're doing comedy. For me, it doesn't get better than they kind of created a like a circle. They work with some of the same actors in the movies whenever they're doing comedy, and I kind of like that. I like they did it with Will Ferrell and John C. Riley and like Anchorman and that. So this is kind of like the next group of comedians that do the same thing. It came out in 2008, and basically a weed smoker and a drug dealer he gets weed from. They're actually on the run trying to get away from the main drug dealer who supplies them with their drugs, their weed, basically weed. They supplies them with their weed, and they're trying to get away from because Seth Rogen's character witnessed a murder. So you're like, oh my God, we got to get away. We got to go into hiding. So it's super funny. I mean, if you like weed movies, this one right here is really funny. I like it. Pineapple Express came out in 2008. Number 6. Wedding Crashers. Wedding Crashers. It took me a couple times to watch that because for some reason, I didn't find it funny. I don't know why. It's weird like that. It's like I have a broad sense of humor, but for some reason, it takes me a couple times to like a movie that like everybody likes right off the bat. It came out in 2005. It stars Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn as a pair of wedding crashers that use weddings to pick up ladies. And this particular wedding that they crash is by a prominent politician, and Owen Wilson's character falls in love with the one of the girls. They have a set of rules, and one of them is not fall in love, like get in, get out, so they can move on to the next wedding. Super funny. There's not really a cameo, but one of I take that back. It is a cameo. I don't want to spoil it, but Meatloaf. I crack up every time I see that part. Meatloaf is funny. You have to watch it. You know what I'm talking about. That's Wedding Crashers, my number 6. Number 5. That's right, 48 Hours. It had to crack the top 5. I mean, it's the first movie from Eddie Murphy. I had to put it top 5. Now, my number 1 is my number 1, whatever. But 48 Hours, you can't forget 48 Hours. It's one of the funniest movies it just showed how funny Eddie Murphy can be in in the movies. Because this was his first movie, so he was on Saturday Night Live, so it was like, can he be funny? He's funny on Saturday Night Live. Can he be funny in the movies? And he knocked it out the park. It stars Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. Nick Nolte is a hard-nosed cop, and while he was helping out one of his department co-workers, or I wouldn't say partners, but they get killed in the shootout. So he's out for revenge. Just so happened the people that killed his co-workers, or fellow police officers rather, there was a convict who was in the gang that helped rob, I think it was a bank. It was a bank. So he goes to get his help, and that person's help is Eddie Murphy. They have to partner up. And one thing I do love about a good buddy movie is when you got two people who don't really like each other and they're forced to work together, and they find out they have more in common than they do that is different. So I just watched this couple days ago. Very funny movie, still funny to this day. 48 Hours. It came out in 1982, starring Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy. Number 4. Last Boy Scout. Now, Last Boy Scout, This is one of my favorite Bruce Willis movies. I mean, everybody knows Die Hard and Sin City and what else has he been in? He's been in a few other movies. I mean, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable. He's been in a few movies, but this is one of my top three Bruce Willis movies. He's funny. He's very sarcastic in it. I love his one-liners. It's hilarious, and it stars Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. It came out in 1991. Bruce Willis stars as a former Secret Service agent. Secret Service agent? Yeah, Secret Service agent. Hired to protect this. I would say she's an exotic dancer. Actually, it's Halle Berry. She feels like her life is in danger because she knows or she has some information on this, I would say, pro football team owner. So she feels like her life is in danger. She hires Bruce Willis, and just so happens that her boyfriend is Damon Wayans. So after an unfortunate event, they team up to find her killer. And you know, dealing with it's kind of one of those I can't even talk. It's kind of one of like those old detective movies, but it's brought into modern day 1991. So you have a lot of those old tropes that detectives, you know, they're always cracking. Well, they're not really cracking jokes, but they're like, you know, they don't really care about their appearance as much, and they do whatever they have to do to get the job done. So, Last Boy Scout, 1991, starring Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. Number 3. Friday. Oh man, Friday. Whew, 1995. I just graduated high school when this joint came out. Yo, Friday. Friday is that movie. Friday. If you haven't seen Friday, I don't know what the heck you're doing with your life, man. Friday is it's one of a kind. I mean, people say that about movies. Friday is that movie. It's one of a kind. It stars Ice Cube, Chris Tucker, John Witherspoon, R.I.P. Bernie Mac, R.I.P. is in there, and you can't forget about Debo. Tiny Lister's in it. Basically, two friends on a Friday, smoking weed in the hood. What else do you need? You know what I mean? But the movie is hilarious. I don't really have to go into it. It's just one of those movies where, I mean, almost everyone has seen it. It had to be top 3. That means my top 2 and top 1, man, they're not better than Friday. I just like them better than Friday. Friday, starring Ice Cube, 1995, also starring Chris Tucker. Check them out. Number 2. The Blues Brothers, 1980, starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. Yo, this is from they used to appear on SNL, not really a skit, but they used to, as a band, it would be the Blues Brothers. They come out high energy, singing some soulful hits. Now I'm not gonna say Motown hits, but it was like it was high energy. John Belushi killed it. Dan Aykroyd killed it, and then they made a movie around these two characters, and it's one of my all-time favorite. I can watch this over and over and over. They played it all the time on TBS. I love it's the high energy. It's the very thin plot, but it works. It works. The whole mall, driving through the mall scene is hilarious. Even to this day, I could watch that and bust a gut. It is so funny, and it is right up my alley as far as comedy goes. It's crazy. Basically, the brothers Jake and Elwood Blues go on a mission from God to save the Catholic orphanage that they grew up in because they're about to get foreclosed on. So they got to get the band together. They go on a tour, raise some money to save the orphanage. But you know, hijinks ensues because, of course, they do a little cross country, and it just gets ridiculous. They get all kinds of people. They got the cops after them. They got Nazis after them. They got some country western singers after them. It's just funny. And also Cap Calloway is in there. And They have a ton of musical cameos from Aretha Franklin to Ray Charles, and a couple more in there. I said Cab Calloway and some other people. It's a real good time. I love the Blues Brothers. Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, R.I.P. Number one. Blazing Saddles. This movie right here is smart. It's smart comedy. It's kind of silly, slapsticky type of comedy, but this is my all-time favorite buddy movie and my all-time favorite comedy straight up. This movie, co-written by Richard Pryor. Yes, indeed. Now, because this is my favorite, what I'm going to do something special. I'm going to read to you so I don't miss anything about the plot of this movie, and then give you some of my favorite tips about it, whatever. So I'm going to read it to you. Give me 1 second. Oh, starring Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder is funny. He did a couple movies with Richard Pryor. Funny dude. He's supposed to be the straight man in the comedy duo, but he's always he has like a lot of little side jokes and stuff. Funny dude. So I'm going to read this. Bear with me. I wrote it. Bear with me, though. I'm going to read this, and then we're going to talk about it just a little bit. All right. A railroad is being routed through a small town of Rock Ridge to avoid quicksand. In order for them to take the land that Rock Ridge sits on, they must get rid of the sheriff and scare off the town folk. When a wave of hired thugs failed to get them to leave, the Attorney General has a bright idea of hiring a black sheriff, hoping that it would offend them so much they would have no choice but to leave. The newly appointed sheriff hires alcoholic Waco Kid to help to protect the townsfolk and eventually win them over. This movie, I promise you, it can't be made today. It cannot be made. There's so much offensive stuff in it, but it is hilarious. It can't be made today. It's too offensive, but it's a throwback. It came out in 1974. The jokes is just, it's like boom, boom, boom. It's highbrow, lowbrow, middlebrow. It's so funny. It's directed by Mel Brooks, one of my favorite comedy directors. He has a few cameos in there. He plays the governor. Roger Corman from the Cal Burnett Show, super funny. One of my favorite characters. Slim Pickens from I can't think of the movie right now. But hey, if you know the movie, it's How I Love the Atom Bomb or something like that. I can't remember. It's a Stanley Kubrick movie, and I'm probably going to get flamed by my friends for not remembering the complete title. It's a long title. I'm just excited about Blazing Saddles. But Cleavon Little, fun fact, real quick. They tried to do a TV show based off of this. It didn't do well. I think they did a pilot. If you buy the DVD or Blu-ray, you'll get to see the pilot in there. They have it as a special feature. Really funny movie. I highly recommend you watch this movie if you've never seen it. It is super funny. So that's it. We've come to the end of my list. Blazing Saddles was number one. Top 20 favorite buddy movies. I had a pleasure making this list, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please like and then subscribe, or subscribe and then like, and then share. Share this mug. Hit that share button. Send it all to your friends and family if you feel like it. But before I get up out of here, I do want to say, please continue to wash your hands, wear a mask, protect yourself at all times, keep safe. Almost done, but we still got a little ways to go. Keep doing what you're doing, and peace.